The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved about, their voices a mix of different languages. In the center of it all stood Ambassador James Harper, his gray hair neatly combed, his blue eyes sharp and determined. Next to him, Captain Sarah Chen shifted nervously. It had been 2 weeks since their discovery on GC-2184. 2 weeks of sleepless nights and frantic preparations. Now, they were about to present their findings to the Council. "Are you ready for this?" James asked Sarah quietly. Sarah nodded, her hand tightening on the data chip she carried. "As ready as I'll ever be." A loud chime echoed through the hall. The Council members began taking their seats. There were 12 of them, each representing a major galactic power. Humanity, being new to the galactic stage, didn't have a seat yet. The head of the council, a tall, slender alien named Zorax, called the meeting to order. His skin shimmered like polished silver, and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The council recognizes Ambassador Harper of Earth," Zorax said, his voice amplified through the chamber. "You have requested this emergency session. Speak your piece." James stepped forward, his voice steady. "Honored members of the Council, 2 weeks ago, a human exploration team made a disturbing discovery." He nodded to Sarah, who activated a holographic display. Images of the facility on GC-2184 filled the air. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. "We found a secret facility," James continued, "where thousands of children from various species are being held captive. They are subjected to cruel experiments and abuse." The images change, showing the pods, the labs, the operating tables. Sarah's heart raced as she watched the council members' reactions. Some looked shocked, others uncomfortable. But a few showed no reaction at all. James's voice grew harder. "Our investigation has led us to a terrifying conclusion. This facility is not the work of criminals or rogue scientists. It is authorized and funded by members of this very council." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some council members shouted denials. Others demanded proof. Zorax banged a gavel, calling for order. "These are serious accusations, Ambassador," Zorax said, his voice cold. "Do you have evidence to support them?" Sarah stepped forward, holding up the data chip. "We have detailed records from the facility's computers. They showed direct links to several council members and their governments." She inserted the chip into a console. New images appeared, showing financial transactions, communication logs, and official orders. The reaction was immediate. Council member Krell, a bulky, reptilian alien, leaped to his feet. "This is outrageous. How dare you fabricate such lies?" But Sarah saw the fear in his eyes. She pointed at him. "The records show your personal authorization for experiments on children from your own world, Councillor Krell." Krell's scales turned pale. Other council members began arguing amongst themselves. Some demanded Krell's immediate arrest. Others called for the humans to be dismissed. Through it all, James stood firm. "We came here expecting justice," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "We thought that surely, when presented with this evidence, the council would act swiftly to end these atrocities." His eyes swept the room, filled with disappointment and growing anger. "Instead, we find denial, excuses, and worse, complicity." Zorax leaned forward. "You are overstepping, Ambassador. The council will investigate these claims in due time. But for now, I suggest you and your team return to Earth and await our decision." Sarah couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Due time," she burst out. "There are children suffering right now. Every moment we delay." "Silence," Zorax thundered. "You have not been given permission to speak, Captain." James put a hand on Sarah's shoulder, but his own anger was visible. "Very well, Counselor. We will return to Earth. But know this, humanity will not stand idly by while innocents suffer. If the Council will not act, we will." As they turned to leave, Krell's voice rang out. "Is that a threat, human?" James paused at the door. He looked back, his eyes hard. "No, counselor. It's a promise." As they walked out of the council chamber, Sarah's mind raced. She had expected resistance, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. "What do we do now?" she asked James. The ambassador's face was grim. "Now, Captain, we prepare for war. The galaxy has shown its true colors today. It's time humanity showed ours." They boarded their ship, both knowing that the next time they returned, it wouldn't be with words and evidence. It would be with the full might of Earth behind them, ready to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. The confrontation was over. The real battle was about to begin. The grand hall of the Galactic Council was in chaos. Angry shouts and accusations filled the air. At the center of it all stood Zorax, the head of the council, his silver skin now dull with stress. "Order. I demand order," he shouted, but his voice was lost in the tumult. On the main screen, reports from across the galaxy played in a loop. Earth ships appearing out of nowhere, striking at secret facilities, and vanishing before they could be caught. Thousands of alien children rescued. Damning evidence of the Council's crimes broadcast on every channel. In just 2 months, humanity had turned the galactic political landscape upside down. Councillor Krell, his scales dark with rage, finally managed to make himself heard. "This is an outrage. These humans must be stopped. They're nothing but terrorists, attacking legitimate government facilities." But not everyone agreed. Councillor Lyra, a being of pure energy contained in a humanoid form, spoke up. "Are we just going to ignore the evidence they presented? The crimes committed against innocent children." The debate raged on, growing more heated by the moment. Outside the council chambers, protests had broken out on hundreds of worlds. People were demanding answers, calling for justice. Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador James Harper sat in an emergency meeting with the United Earth Council. The mood was tense but determined. President Rodriguez addressed the room. "The Galactic Council has just issued an ultimatum. They're demanding we cease all operations immediately and turn ourselves over for trial. If we refuse, they're threatening full-scale war." Murmurs of concern spread through the room. Admiral Zhang stood up. "Let them come. Our new technologies have proven effective. We can hold our own." But James shook his head. "It's not that simple. Yes, we've had successes, but we're still vastly outnumbered. A full-scale war could devastate Earth. So what do you suggest?" President Rodriguez asked. "That we give up. Allow these crimes to continue." James took a deep breath. "No, we fight. But we need to be smart about it. We need to change the narrative." He walked to the center of the room, his eyes blazing with intensity. "The Council is trying to paint us as violent upstarts, terrorists disrupting galactic peace. We need to show the galaxy who we really are." "And how do we do that?" someone asked. James smiled. "By doing what humanity does best. We adapt, we innovate, and we inspire." Over the next few hours, a new plan took shape. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. As the meeting concluded, James received an urgent message. His face grew grim as he read it. "What is it?" President Rodriguez asked. James looked up, his expression serious. "The Council isn't waiting for our response. They've dispatched a fleet. It'll reach Earth in 72 hours. The room fell silent. The threat they had prepared for was now a reality. Admiral Zhang immediately began issuing orders, mobilizing Earth's defenses. Scientists rushed to finish new weapon prototypes. Around the world, people prepared for the possibility of alien invasion. But even as they prepared for war, James and his team put their new plan into action. They reached out to sympathetic aliens, to the families of the children they'd rescued, to anyone who would listen. They told Earth's story, not just of their recent actions, but of their history, of a species that had nearly destroyed itself many times, but always found a way to grow, to become better. They spoke of Earth's art, its music, its endless creativity. And most importantly, they showed the galaxy the rescued children, not as nameless victims, but as individuals with hopes and dreams, now free to live and grow. As the alien fleet approached, humanity's message spread across the stars like wildfire. On countless worlds, people began to question what they'd been told about Earth. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. In the face of overwhelming odds, Earth stood united, ready to fight not just for survival, but for a future where justice and compassion reigned. As he looked out at the stars from his office window, James Harper felt a mix of fear and hope. "Come on, humanity," he whispered. "Show the galaxy what we're really made of." The United Earth Council chamber was packed. Leaders from every nation on the planet sat in tense silence. On a large screen, the recording of the Galactic Council meeting played out. As it ended, the room erupted into angry shouts and heated discussions. President Elena Rodriguez stood up, her presence commanding attention. The room fell silent. "We've all seen the evidence," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've all heard the Galactic Council's response. Now we must decide our next move." Admiral John Zhang, head of Earth's Space Force, stepped forward. "Madam President, members of the Council, I suggest we prepare our fleets immediately. We cannot allow these atrocities to continue." Murmurs of agreement spread through the room, but not everyone was convinced. "And start a war with the entire galaxy?" asked the Chinese representative, Lai Wei. "We've only been part of the galactic community for 5 years. We're outnumbered and outgunned. So we should do nothing." Sarah Chen's voice rang out. All eyes turned to her. She stood at the back of the room, still in her captain's uniform. "I've seen those children with my own eyes. If we don't help them, who will?" President Rodriguez nodded. "Captain Chen is right. We can't ignore this, but we also can't rush into a war unprepared." She turned to a group of scientists and engineers. "Dr. Patel, what's the status of Project Phoenix?" Dr. Aisha Patel, a brilliant quantum physicist, stood up. "We've made significant progress, Madam President. Our new stealth technology can make our ships virtually undetectable, and the plasma cannon prototypes are showing promising results. But they're not ready for full-scale production," added Dr. Hans Müller, head of weapons development. "We need more time." The room fell into debate again. Some argued for immediate action, others for caution. The discussion went on for hours, with no clear consensus. As the arguments continued, James Harper, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "We're missing the point," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "This isn't just about military action. It's about who we are as a species." He walked to the center of the room, looking each leader in the eye. "Throughout our history, humanity has faced moments that defined us. Moments where we had to decide. Do we stand by and let evil triumph, or do we fight, no matter the odds?" James pointed to the screen, where an image of the captive alien children was frozen. "These children, these innocents from across the galaxy, they need champions. They need hope. Are we going to tell them that their suffering doesn't matter because it's not convenient for us to help?" His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Sarah felt a surge of pride for her species. President Rodriguez broke the silence. "Ambassador Harper is right. We can't turn our backs on this. But we need to be smart about it." She turned to Admiral Zhang. "Prepare our fleets, but keep them on standby. Dr. Patel, Dr. Müller, you have 1 month to get Project Phoenix ready for deployment." She looked around the room, her gaze steely. "We'll start with covert operations. We'll rescue as many children as we can, gather more evidence, and find allies among other species. If the corrupt council members retaliate, then and only then will we engage in open warfare." The president's voice grew stronger. "Let it be known that from this day forward, Earth stands against the exploitation of the innocent. We may be new to the galactic stage, But we will show the universe what humanity is truly capable of when we stand united for a just cause." The room erupted in applause and cheers. As the meeting adjourned, plans were already being made. Ships were being prepared, soldiers trained, and advanced weapons readied. Sarah found herself standing next to James. "Do you think we can really do this?" she asked. "Take on the most powerful beings in the galaxy?" James smiled, a glint of determination in his eyes. "Captain, humanity has always achieved the impossible when we stand together. And this time, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every innocent child in the galaxy." As they looked out at the bustling activity around them, both felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. The path ahead was dangerous and uncertain, but they knew one thing for sure: humanity had made its decision, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Earth ship Shadowhawk glided silently through space, its new stealth technology making it invisible to all known detection systems. On the bridge, Captain Sarah Chen sat in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Status report," she ordered, her voice tense. Lieutenant Rodriguez, now her first officer, responded quickly. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the target. No signs of detection." Sarah nodded. It had been 3 months since Earth's decision to act. 3 months of intense preparation. Now they were about to launch their first strike against the corrupt Galactic Council members. Their target: a secret research facility on a moon orbiting a gas giant. Intelligence suggested it held over 1,000 captive children. "All teams, final check," Sarah commanded. The responses came in quickly. The rescue team was ready. The tech team was prepared to hack the facility systems. The medical team stood by to care for the rescued children. As they neared the moon, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and fear. This mission would set the tone for everything that followed. Success could rally allies to their cause. Failure could doom them all. "We're in position," Rodriguez announced, scanning the facility now. The view screen lit up with a detailed map of the research center. Sarah studied it carefully, looking for any surprises. Everything matched their intelligence. "All right," she said, taking a deep breath. "Let's do this. Commence Operation Firefly." The Shadowhawk descended silently towards the moon's surface. As they neared the facility, Sarah gave the order: "Deploy EMP." A pulse of energy shot out from the ship, engulfing the entire facility. Lights flickered and died. Alarms that had just begun to sound fell silent. "EMP successful," Rodriguez reported. "Their systems are down." Sarah stood up. "Landing teams, you're up. Remember, rescue the children first. Gather all the evidence you can, but don't take unnecessary risks." She watched as 3 shuttles departed from the Shadowhawk, each carrying a team of Earth's best soldiers and operatives. They landed at different points around the facility. The next 20 minutes were tense. Sarah listened to the team communications, her heart racing with each update. "Team Alpha here. We've secured the main lab." My God, the things they were doing here. Team Beta reporting: "We found the holding cells, beginning evacuation of the children." Team Gamma: "We're in the command center, downloading all data now." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. So far, so good, but she knew better than to celebrate too early. Her caution proved right when Rodriguez suddenly shouted, "Captain, 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're heading straight for us." Sarah's mind raced. How had they been detected? Had there been a leak? No time to wonder now. "Rescue teams, double time," she ordered. "We need to be out of here in 5 minutes." The bridge erupted into action. Sarah barked orders, coordinating the retreat while preparing for a possible space battle. 4 agonizing minutes later, the shuttles began returning. The last one had barely docked when the enemy ships came into firing range. "All teams on board," Rodriguez reported. "We have 1,047 rescued children, and several terabytes of intel." Sarah nodded grimly. "Get us out of here. Maximum speed." The Shadowhawk shot away from the moon, just as energy blasts from the enemy ships scorched where they had been moments before. "They're pursuing," Rodriguez said, his voice tense. Sarah allowed herself a small, fierce grin. "Good. Let's show them what Earth's new tech can do. Activate the Phantom Drive." The ship shuddered as a new form of propulsion engaged. In the blink of an eye, they'd vanished, reappearing light years away. As the adrenaline of the escape faded, Sarah looked around her bridge. Despite the close call, her crew was grinning. They had done it. The first strike had been a success. She opened a channel to the whole ship. "Well done, everyone. We've just rescued over 1,000 children and struck a major blow against our enemies. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy now knows. Humanity is coming for them." As cheers echoed through the ship, Sarah allowed herself to fully smile. They had taken a huge risk, but it had paid off. Now, as they raced back to Earth with their precious cargo, she knew the real war was just beginning. The corrupt Galactic Council had no idea what they had unleashed. Humanity was on the move, and they would not stop until justice was served. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Earth Space Force ship Curiosity. Her dark eyes scanned the stars outside the view screen. The ship floated silently in space, just outside the orbit of a small, unremarkable planet. This world, known only as GC-2184, was supposed to be empty. But Sarah's gut told her something was wrong. "Any signs of life?" "Rodriguez," Sarah asked her science officer. Lieutenant Rodriguez frowned at his console. "Nothing on the usual frequencies, Captain. But there's something odd. A faint energy signature. It's unlike anything I've seen before." Sarah's interest peaked. Humanity had only been part of the Galactic Council for 5 years. They were still learning about the vast universe around them. Every new discovery was exciting. "Can we pinpoint the source?" she asked. Rodriguez nodded. "It's coming from the northern hemisphere. There's a small continent there." Sarah made her decision quickly. "All right, let's check it out. Prepare a landing party." An hour later, Sarah led a team of 5 down to the planet's surface. They wore environmental suits, unsure of what they might find. The air was breathable, but thin. The landscape was barren, mostly rock and sand. "The energy signature is stronger here," Rodriguez said, looking at his handheld scanner. "It's coming from underground." They followed the signal to the base of a cliff. At first, they saw nothing unusual. But as they got closer, Sarah noticed something strange. A part of the rock face didn't look quite right. "It's a hologram," she realized. She reached out, her hand passing through the illusion of solid rock. "There's an entrance here." The team exchanged nervous glances. They hadn't expected to find anything like this. Sarah took a deep breath and stepped through the hologram. The others followed. Inside, they found a long, dark corridor. The walls were made of a smooth, metallic material. It was clearly artificial. As they walked deeper, lights flickered on automatically. "This technology, it's more advanced than ours," whispered Lieutenant Park, their engineer. They came to a large door at the end of the corridor. It took several minutes for Park to figure out how to open it. When it finally slid open, the team gasped in horror. The room beyond was enormous, and it was filled with rows upon rows of small, transparent pods. Each pod contained a child. But these weren't human children. They were aliens from dozens of different species. "My God," Sarah breathed. She approached one of the pods. Inside was a small, blue-skinned child with 4 arms. Its eyes were closed, but Sarah could see it breathing. "They're alive." Rodriguez scanned the pods. "They're in some kind of stasis. And Captain, there are thousands of them." Sarah felt sick. She had seen many strange things since humanity joined the galactic community, but nothing like this. What is this place? Why are all these children here? As they moved through the facility, they found more disturbing sights. Labs filled with strange equipment, rooms with what looked like operating tables, and everywhere, more pods with more children. In one room, they found computer terminals. Park managed to access them. What they discovered made Sarah's blood run cold. "This is a research facility," Park said, his voice shaking. "They're experimenting on these children. Genetic manipulation, cybernetic enhancements, psychological conditioning. It's all here." Sarah clenched her fists. Who's behind this? Who could do such a thing? Park scrolled through more data. His face went pale. "Captain, according to this, it's authorized by the Galactic Council itself." The team fell silent, the weight of this discovery crushing down on them. Sarah felt a mix of emotions, horror, anger, and a fierce determination. "Download everything," she ordered. "We're taking all of this back to Earth, and then we're going to make this right." As they worked to gather evidence, Sarah looked at the pods around her. Each one held a child, torn from their home, subjected to unimaginable cruelty. She made a silent promise to every one of them. "We'll save you," she whispered, "and we'll make those responsible pay, no matter what it takes." Little did Sarah know, her discovery would be the spark that ignited a fire across the galaxy. Humanity was about to show the universe what they were truly capable of when pushed too far. The massive alien fleet loomed in Earth's orbit, a terrifying sight against the backdrop of stars. On the bridge of the lead ship, Admiral Vex of the Galactic Council forces smiled coldly. Victory seemed certain. "Send the message again," he ordered. "Surrender now, or we open fire." But on Earth, the mood was far from defeated. In a hidden underground bunker, humanity's leaders gathered around a holographic display of the solar system. President Rodriguez's voice was firm. "We will not surrender. Humanity stands for what's right, no matter the cost." Admiral Zhang nodded. "Our defenses are ready. We'll give them a fight they won't forget." As tensions reached their peak, something unexpected happened. A new fleet suddenly appeared, positioning itself between Earth and the Council forces. Admiral Vex's eyes widened in shock. "What is this? Identify those ships immediately." His officers scrambled to comply, but before they could, a transmission came through. The face that appeared on the screen was not human, but that of a Xyloxian, a race known for their strict neutrality in galactic affairs. "This is Captain Zora of the Free Galaxies Alliance," the alien said, her voice strong and clear. "We stand with Earth against the corruption of the Council." In the Earth bunker, cheers erupted. James Harper grinned broadly. "It worked. Our message got through." More ships continued to arrive. Vessels of all shapes and sizes, representing dozens of species. Some were military, others civilian. All had come to support Earth. On a secure channel, Captain Zara explained to the Earth leaders, "Your actions opened many eyes across the galaxy. The evidence you provided, the children you saved, it sparked a revolution. We're here to help." Admiral Vex's voice crackled over the comms, filled with rage. "This is treason. All of you will pay for this." But his threats rang hollow. More and more ships were defecting from his fleet, joining the Earth Alliance. President Rodriguez stepped forward. "Admiral Vex, members of the Galactic Council fleet, you have a choice to make. Continue this unjust war, or stand down and join us in building a better future for all species." For a tense moment, the outcome hung in the balance. Then, slowly, ships in the Council fleet began to power down their weapons. Admiral Vex, seeing his forces crumble, made a desperate move. All loyal ships opened fire. A few beams lanced out, but they were quickly intercepted by the Allied fleet's defenses. In response, Earth unveiled its secret weapon. "Activate the Shield of Hope," Admiral Zhang commanded. A shimmering energy field expanded from Earth, enveloping not just the planet but the entire Allied fleet. Council weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against it. Captain Sarah Chen's voice came over the comms. "The Shield of Hope isn't just a defense system. It's powered by the combined mental energy of the children we rescued. Their hope, their dreams for a better future, made tangible. This revelation spread quickly through both fleets. It was the final push needed. The remaining council ships stood down, many of their crews openly rebelling against orders. Admiral Vex, seeing his defeat, attempted to flee, but his own crew stopped him, tired of the lies and corruption. As the dust settled, Earth's orbit was filled with ships from across the galaxy, all united in a common cause. On the planet's surface, people emerged from shelters, looking up at the sky in wonder. In the command bunker, James Harper turned to President Rodriguez. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We've won the battle, but changing the galaxy, that's going to be the real challenge." President Rodriguez nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "And we'll face it together, not just as humanity, but as part of a greater galactic community." As news of the event spread across the stars, a new era dawned. Earth, once a small, overlooked world, had become a beacon of hope and justice for the entire galaxy. The corrupt council members were being rounded up for trial. Plans were already underway to form a new, more just galactic government. And at the center of it all was humanity, ready to share their strength, their creativity, and their unwavering spirit with the universe. As the first rays of sunlight peeked over Earth's horizon, they illuminated not just a planet, but the dawn of a new galactic age. An age born from humanity's compassion, determination, and their fierce protection of the innocent. 1 year had passed since the great battle over Earth. The galaxy was a changed place. On a newly constructed space station orbiting a neutral star, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered. Today was the day of reckoning. In the center of a vast auditorium stood the accused, former members of the Galactic Council. Their once proud faces now showed fear and defeat. Among them was Zorax, his silver skin dull and lifeless. At the prosecutor's table sat James Harper, his face stern but his eyes bright with purpose. Beside him was Captain Sarah Chen, her uniform adorned with new medals. The judge, a respected elder from a race known for their fairness, called the court to order. "We are here to pass judgment on those who abused their power and committed unspeakable crimes against children of many species." As the trial proceeded, evidence was presented. Survivors gave testimony, their voices shaking but strong. Scientists explained the horrors of the experiments conducted. And through it all, the accused could only hang their heads in shame. During a recess, James stood by a window, looking out at the stars. Sarah joined him. "Did you ever imagine it would come to this when we first discovered that facility?" she asked. James shook his head. "Never, but I'm proud of how far we've come." When the court reconvened, it was time for the final statements. James stood, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We are not here for revenge," he began. "We are here for justice. For too long, the powerful preyed on the weak, thinking they were above the law. Humanity may have sparked this revolution, but it is all of us, every species here, who will see it through." He turned to the accused. "You will face the consequences of your actions. But more importantly, we will ensure that nothing like this ever happens again." The judge nodded solemnly. "We have heard the evidence and testimony. It is time for the verdict." One by one, the accused were found guilty. Their punishments were severe, but just: life imprisonment, with mandatory service to help rehabilitate their victims. As Zorax was led away, he looked at James. "You've doomed us all," he hissed. "Without a strong council, the galaxy will fall into chaos." James met his gaze steadily. "No, we freed the galaxy from tyranny. What comes next is up to all of us." After the trial, attention turned to the future. In meeting rooms across the station, representatives debated the formation of a new galactic government. President Rodriguez, now speaking for Earth, addressed the assembly. "We propose a galactic federation, where every world has a voice, where power is balanced, and the rights of all beings are protected." The debates were long and sometimes heated, But slowly, a new structure began to take shape. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. As the conference neared its end, there was one final ceremony to perform. In a grand gesture, the Shield of Hope technology was shared with all worlds. This shield, born from the hope of children we rescued, will now protect all our worlds, Sarah explained. It stands as a symbol of what we can achieve when we work together. The ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. On countless worlds, people watched in awe as the shield enveloped planet after planet, a shimmering barrier of hope and unity. In the years that followed, the galaxy entered a new age of exploration and cooperation. The horrors of the past were not forgotten, but they served as a constant reminder of the need for vigilance and compassion. Humanity, once a small player on the galactic stage, now stood as a beacon of justice and innovation. Their determination had sparked a revolution, their compassion had forged alliances, and their hope had quite literally shaped the future. As James and Sarah stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Federation headquarters, watching ships from hundreds of worlds come and go, they felt a sense of pride and purpose. "We did it," Sarah said softly. James nodded. "We did. But our work is just beginning. The galaxy is vast, and there's so much more to discover, so many more wrongs to right." Sarah smiled. "Well then, Ambassador Harper, shall we get back to work?" As they turned to leave, James took one last look at the stars. The galaxy was a brighter place now, filled with possibility. And humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, was ready to lead the way into a new era of peace, justice, and hope. The end of one chapter, but the beginning of a grand new adventure for all species united under the banner of compassion and justice.